So, hello guys. I know this is a bit late, but we're going to review the games of today. It was the elimination best of fives between Rainbow Seven and LGD, and then later on between Supermassive and Mad Lions. Starting in this video with the best of five between Rainbow Seven and LGD. I'm going to show the draft on screen, hopefully. And yeah, I'm not going to in-depth in a bit because uh, they have their pocket picks, and after all the best of fives have concluded, I'm going to make a huge meta review on the plans. I'm just going to go over a few picks that stand out as I have done before, but just so you have a bit better visual about the champion picks and runes. So Peanut gets Kindred, Shea gets TF, and we see a Hail of Blades to start. Very interesting, very powerful early game. Is able to proc her E satchel way faster, and is able to create a lot of burst through that. Rainbow Seven, on the other hand, has a more like team fight centric comp. Yeah, in the early game we see Shea on TF sending alone into the Shadow Realm more or less, pushing him out of lane like twice in 5 minutes. Additionally, Peanut has great luck with his marks and is able to get good rotations to the other marks, and has 3 in 9 minutes and gets the 4th in 14 minutes actually. Peanut also again has great early game, pressure running bot lane in his team's favor. Later on, Rainbow Seven contests Herald, and we get a bit of a scrappy fight. They lose 2 lives, but then LGD overextends again, and they lose a kill and 3 flashes, so a bit messy in the early game. The team's feeding themselves out a bit. It is an elimination match, so yeah. Then later we see Rainbow Seven hiding in bushes, trying to get some picks on Shea and Langji. In the end, getting even a dragon through these picks. But yeah, LGD counters and picks, gets a few picks on R7 as themselves, and engage a small team fight, getting 3 kills, losing nothing. Even able to get the Herald in the aftermath, establishing a 4k gold lead. You have to understand, even though the objectives and kills are traded rather equally in some points in these games, LGD having better players means they see as way better, and by that they generate gold leads passively. So yeah, you have to understand, even though nothing much happened really, just like a few kills here, a few objectives there, LGD has this lead because of the managed waves and lane states as well. But Rainbow Seven is not defeated. They are active, try to get some plays here and there, but they're not really working out that well. Yeah, LGD pushing against them, like countering cross map or punishing Rainbow Seven's aggressiveness, and yeah, using proper wave control in the side lanes, able to get turrets. LGD gets further and further ahead in the game. Yeah, and then the game ends rather abruptly. They get a pick on an Ashe, and then yeah, LGD wins a team fight completely, acing them, securing the Baron after the fight, having a 13k gold lead. And even though Rainbow Seven is able to respawn, they can't mount any defense against LGD at that point. So yeah, it was rather convincingly in LGD's favor. Even though Rainbow Seven was trying to be active, they weren't able to establish leads or act out their win conditions in any shape or form. So going into game 2, interesting to see Aatrox against Gnar. This is not a good matchup for the Aatrox, but strangely he is one of the main, if not the main carry in his team, with a so interesting draft in this one. LGD on the other side has many threats and great team fights. Aatrox after the nerfs, like he's not what he used to be a year ago. So yeah, it's rather strange to see him, and especially against Gnar, who can beat him quite convincingly if Gnar doesn't fall too far behind, which he shouldn't, right? Because he is ranged against melee in the early game. Anyways, the teams are trading kills and neutral objectives in the early game. But Peanut is able to push ahead in the jungle position, pressuring the important mid lane and propelling Xia passively by that as well. Rainbow Seven is able to get the Herald in this trade I mentioned before, able to use it for some plates. But LGD gets the second Drake because of that. Drake control is very important in these games. Both teams, or especially LGD, prioritizes Drakes quite a lot. And as I mentioned before, like LGD, with their huge CS leads, even out the first turret gold and the 5-0 plates Rainbow Seven was able to get. Nothing happening for a few minutes until the next Drake, the third Drake respawns, so it would have been a soul point for LGD. Rainbow Seven sadly not coordinated well enough. Some people splitting away, some people trying to look for a fight. So LGD punishes that, gets the Drake in 2 kills. On the flip side, Rainbow Seven was able to secure the Herald as some kind of consolation prize. It's just short of the 20th minute, LGD 25 gold lead, and the champions are online, reaching 2 item power spikes and level power spikes as well. This makes Rainbow Seven concede the soul, which is rather strange. Even if you're behind, you can't give up soul. I mean, unless you lose the game afterwards. But losing soul is the game in most cases anyway. Mark, a bit of over aggressiveness, but it works out well for LGD's favor. They get the Baron, set up for Elder, and while setting up, they get a pick on the top on jungle of Rainbow Seven, enabling LGD to just run it down. Overall, LGD showed improvements in all areas in these 2 games in comparison to the games they played in the group stage part of these play-ins, which is really good to see for all LGD fans or all people who want to see good games, right? We don't want to see the teams underperform. So game 3, we see the strong on pick, Kindred, Jhin, and Leona. Picks already who already performed well in this series, as well as some comfort picks for LGD. Rainbow Seven with an interesting strategy of a fasting Senna and a Kayle top lane, something we haven't seen so far. But this Kayle is not that great at the moment. Tanks like Ornn can bully her in the early game because of their huge base damage. Ornn even scales well as well with his passive and his teamfight prowess. Kayle, on the other hand, she has the damage, but she needs level 11 and 16, which take a lot of time. 20 to 25 minutes, maybe even 30, depending on how the game goes. Peanut again attacking the core piece of the enemy comp, which is the top lane, the Kayle, setting her behind even more. Sadly, Shia was having a bit of off game, getting caught a bit by Alund. Alund. But the rest of LGD stepping up, Langex and Peanut taking the Herald through top lane, setting Kayle even further behind. Sadly though, for LGD, Mark gets picked, and Shia and Peanut try to help him, ending in all of their deaths. Syndra ending up 0-3 at this point, and having some really strange decisions at one point, TPing bot lane into a lost fight already, standing then there in between 4 enemy players. So yeah, Shia wasn't doing that well in this game, dying randomly all over. But LGD was not slowing down the tempo, trading 1-for-1 across the map, and LGD is evening out the Drake count, and yeah, even getting Herald number 2. Yeah, then there was some posturing. Game was slowing down a bit, well, which is good for Rainbow 7, right? Their Kayle is doing fine, but a slow game in terms of kills and team fights is still good for LGD, of course, because as I said before, the players are CSing way better, meaning they generate more gold just through farming minions and jungle camps. So yeah, LGD was getting a bit ahead, or climbing ahead of Rainbow 7 after being in a bit of a slump after losing some kills. In 20th minute, LGD is 700 gold ahead. It's not much, but yeah, it's quite a bit, and it set them up for some winning fights. And the kill score, right? They were behind in kills, but then LGD getting some picks and winning very important skirmishes in the jungle. Yeah, suddenly 3.5k, yeah, even in kills, and then getting the gold of the minions. Yeah, that's how LGD is able to generate these leads so suddenly. And then because the game has already reached the later stages, death timers are really high. LGD gets a pick on Jose Deodo, the jungler of Rainbow 7, getting the Baron, and even 2 kills because Rainbow 7 tries to defend, right? It's game 3 match point. If they lose, they're out of Worlds contention. So they're a bit desperate in their attempts in the later stages as well. LGD sees this and punishes it even more, establishing a 6k gold lead, and then completely snowball the game, and winning it in the end. Although they struggled a bit in the end, in the early game, and Rainbow 7, especially Jose Deodo on Lee Sin, were trying their best in this game to make a active plays overall, not falling, trying to not fall too much behind. Yeah, it wasn't enough, and even with Sheer running it a bit, LGD got some small leads, some small picks here and there, and then they were able to snowball them through controlled and smart play. After getting leads, rarely giving them up. Yeah, overall a good series for them. For me, the MVPs in the game 1 and 2 were Peanut. Really strong jungle performance, out jungling the probably best player in Rainbow 7's team, Jose Dedo. Getting early leads, ganking the right lanes, playing good with his teams. Yeah, overall the stats were good as well. Can't really discredit anything. we have to say in some cases Mark had some really nice engages. And I think it was game 1, Shia had some good teamfight ults, but yeah, we have to say that Peanut was the outstanding facilitator in these games. And usually I would have thought it would be the same in game 3, but yeah, Peanut was falling a bit behind in the early games because he was sacrificing himself for the lanes, and because of that and Jose Odeodo's amazing plays, Peanut was a bit jungle diffed in that one. But he did his job for his lanes, and then his lanes showed up and showed him how important jungle is in the later stages of the game. I thought in the last game Kramer had a really good performance. He was really solid in all of the games, but the last one is where he could really shine, and got through the stage where he, as an AD carry, got to his items and then was able to deal the damage. With Shie and inting a bit and Peanut behind Langex on the tank, he was the one who dealt the damage to push them to the finish line. For the whole series, though, I have to say Peanut did a really well job. Yeah, game 1 and 2 were probably mostly on his back. I have to give him that. As such, he will be the MVP for the series. And yeah, LGD will now play against Legacy Esports tomorrow in a qualification series. Winning team will be going to Worlds group stage. If LGD wins, it is confirmed that they will go in Group C with TSM, Fnatic, and Gen.G. So this is it for the first video. Maybe look into the next one where I'll go over the series between Mad Lions and Supermassive. Yeah, and even if you don't, I wish you all a great day. See you around.